Alrighty, in today's video, I'll be using Notion buttons to create sequential tasks so that the order of tasks created will always be preserved with the right sorting. We'll be using a database template and a button, and we'll be creating sequentially and relationally connected dependencies across tasks through a button. We're going to be needing a number property for sorting purposes, and we'll also be experimenting with different button features to help us visualize dependencies, for example, using the timeline view. This tutorial is going to be especially practical for those who have repeating tasks that require to be individually checked off, tracked within a database environment, and so that you can always ensure that you have the same 5 to 20 different steps that you might need to complete within your project or task environment. This also works for long extended projects with complex components in which you might have to go through 20 to 50 steps, which have semi-repeating categories or sequential tasks that you might want to instantly create through a singular button. We are going to need a projects and task database where they are relationally connected to each other, so that you can create a project and then add a task, like so. Obviously, because we are not going to be using a Notion formula today, we're going to be relying on database templates, which we can conveniently access through this drop-down icon located at the database level. You can click on New Template, and that creates a new database template within the projects database. The reason why we're doing that is because we can layer many tasks under a project, and we'll be creating a button within the template itself to use as our primary way of creating these sequential tasks within a project. This is a very simple example, but I think once you understand the small details that you can add and modify within a button within a database template, you might be able to apply some of this logic or design within your Notion workspace. Let's create 5 sequential tasks. And so the button's going to look like that. Obviously, we haven't created anything, and so it's going to show that warning sign with a red symbol. And this is half the battle. To be able to access the database template from the database can be a hassle, and so something that I like to do is go to these three dots, copy link, and then if we do exit or go to a different part of our workspace and we want to reference it, we can paste it and we can mention that page. I think this is especially practical for anyone that needs to regularly edit the database template, whether you're working with someone or you're continually improving a process of some sort or updating small details within your current database templates. I think this copy link method is incredibly helpful, because now you can just click on it and you'll see this neat banner that tells you that you're editing a template within the database that's relevant to you. Again, just want to go to these three dots, copy link, and we can paste it anywhere we want and mention page so that it works just like a normal page link that you would access regularly. Very helpful when you want to interactively work with a client and they have a way to see what you're working on, because sometimes you can't always see the work on the surface and you kind of have to create these links so that the client or person you're working with also knows how they can edit in the future, how something might change and might need to get edited, because I think that's more common than we think, and sometimes it's a matter of access that's preventing us from doing it as opposed to anything else. We'd have to do that to get to that same screen, just a few clicks that we can always skip and create that link. We are obviously going to add a page in the new database, and because we're doing tasks under projects, we are going to select tasks database, and we've created this simple tasks entry. Now, where it gets really important is by going further by editing more than just the name property. In our case, we want to make that relational connection. We want to mention that projects database that we're working with, relationally connect it to the database entry that the button is located in through this page. Now when we create this task, it's going to be connected to this project, so we're going to see it appear here when clicked. Another thing we can also do is we can select the date, and we can also change some of the relational properties for a date. Fortunately, you can't relationally connect dates, so that can specify 2 weeks ahead from today or 7 days from now. Stuff like that. You have to manually select everything. The only thing that relationally works within the date property is the now and today. I'm sure this will be different in the future, but we'll use this later in the video, but I'll just remove it for now. So obviously we're going to layer several tasks together in a row, and they're going to be connected through a relation as well. We want to make sure that when someone opens the project and they see these tasks, we can see that you can't work on this task before finishing this task. And so what comes to mind there are dependencies for tasks. We are going to need to set up so that we can create that blocking and blocked relational two-way database properties to initiate that dependency setting. Again, we're going to go to the task database, hover to the three dots, and then we can go down to dependencies where we can turn them on. I think avoid weekends is a good toggle that they automatically enable for you, and I think shift only when dates overlap is a good one. Well, I guess it really depends on how you want to sequentially organize your tasks, but I think generally shift only when dates overlap is a good one. If you're working on a tight timeline, you might want to shift and maintain time between items if that's very relevant to your context. So we're going to turn on dependencies, and all that really does is adds this blocking and blocked by Notion properties. I'm going to move it to the bottom, and that's basically a relationship with the database itself, but now we can connect tasks next to each other, so we can add that extra layer of sequential ordering that we can connect within tasks under a project. Obviously, you might be asking, why would I want to do that? And I think the primary reason I would want to introduce why you'd want to add the blocking and block by properties would be through the timeline view. And that is because within the timeline view, you will be able to visualize the dependencies within tasks. So if there's 3 tasks preventing another task from happening, you can visualize that through this timeline view. We enable dependencies, and when we have the dates properly organized. That's going to be key to the timeline view. But let's get back to that template and add those layers of buttons in which now we can sort of add these added relational properties. And so if someone is working on a singular task, there's another task that they can automatically associate or consider before starting their task. From an awareness perspective, these relational properties might help within your organization if there's a lot of tasks that are connected with each other, and there's layers of processes that might have to happen first before starting on the next. Although buttons are extremely practical and efficient, I think the configuration of buttons are probably more manual intensive than other Notion features. But I think once you have it set up, I think it's quite valuable. Once we have a singular task entry like we've created here, instead of trying to add another step and do the whole process over again, we can click on these 3 dots and duplicate. I'm going to add 5 tasks that are sequentially ordered, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the way we create this sequential ordering is by starting on the second task creation and then referencing the blocked by property and then selecting the new page that we created, tasks from step 1. This is step 1, so we're just saying this secondary task is blocked by this first task. What we can do is do that by blocked by and click on the same thing but from step 2, and we can just layer that in, as you can imagine, so that it's extremely easy to create that relational sequence among tasks. I just quickly named them so we have some sort of ordering, and the blocked by relational property is the only thing that we technically need to consider adding, because this task is going to have both of these relations and this task is just going to have both of these relations, and so everything kind of doubles up, and blocking is adopted by the task in which it is blocked by. That's how that's going to work. The last thing to consider here is the ordering. Even though we created that relational blocked by and blocking properties, those aren't going to help us with the ordering of those tasks when we look at it through other views. If we were to create a new table and group by projects within the task database, we're not going to have a way to sort by or blocking. And so I keep going back and forth, but I think these are elements of this tutorial that once you know how to think about it, you can get pretty creative in how you might want to organize everything. So the other thing that we're going to need to create is a number property, and we're just going to title this task order. And obviously this isn't anything profound, but this is another easy ordering method that we'll be able to numerically specify by just simple numbers 1 through however number tasks there are that we can also manipulate within this button. Now we can go back to tasks and go to task order. Again, I'm sort of working backwards to sort of help you understand this, and so it makes sense to have all these properties first, have them opened up, and then duplicate it so that you can minimize the number of manual property edits and specifications you might have to add. Task order is going to be 1, right, because it's task 1. Now we just created a relationally connected task order specified list of tasks. Now let's make sure that the project example template that we just set is the default. And we're going to do it for all views. And now I'm going to create a new project example, and I'm going to click on the button we just created, 5 sequential tasks. You can see that the button created 5 pages, and we see those tasks appear here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In this case, they're neatly sorted and stacked, but this isn't always going to be the case. You see that relation appear here and here. And now we'll go back to that table database view where we grouped by project. Look at the relational blocking and blocked by that we have here. We can see that task 1 is blocked by nothing, and then task 5 is blocking nothing as well. That's because that's the first and last of the sequential tasks that we created. We can always change the verbiage here and add a property description as well. That's pretty nice. I think that's a pretty new feature. But now look at this ordering of task 5 through 1. In this case, there's no ordering. And so this is where we're going to go on to the sort feature of the view, and then go to task order, and then select ascending, which is the default sort order. So now we have the project example that we created, and then the tasks that are ordered in the way that we want to see sequentially. Tasks 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we just did that through the simple sort feature of the database. We did this within a table view, so you can also do this in other views, obviously. Unfortunately, the one thing to think about is when you do try to move the task, for example, to break the sort order, this notification pops up where it says, would you like to remove sorting? Some people click on remove accidentally, and if you do that, the sort breaks. And so now the order is sort of misaligned, and so we want to go back to sort. And obviously that's because we wanted to move the task 2 higher to task 1. So we have to go back to sort, task order, and then quickly revert back. If you wanted to see everything by recency, we can quickly create a last edited time automatic property. Drag it to the very bottom. We can also hide this if we really want. Once you set the task order, you have to click on 2 more properties and then configure it. I think that makes sense. And what you could also do is if you didn't want to sort by task order, you could also sort by last edited time. And we want to actually do descending because we want to do it by recency. So this is one way you could check which tasks haven't been worked on. If the ordering isn't as important and you just need to see which ones are being worked on and which aren't, you can quickly create that sort as well. The timeline view again has its perks as well. You can group by project, show that project, but notice how there's 5, but you can't see them within this view, and that's because they all don't have a date. It's kind of an annoying thing to have to manually configure. Looks like I just added everything through those clicks. And so this is what it would look like with the blocking and blocked format, right? Those arrows are pretty handy. You can slide it, and now everything moves responsively because of that setting we configured of overlap. That's a pretty nice visual. And again, what's neat with the timeline view real quick is you can create a table view to the side. Maybe it's, this is just an example. We have the dates specified, but if you want the exact dates, we have several ways to show stuff on the actual view itself, and then we have the ability to customize a table view on the side to emphasize other aspects of the database. That's one really easy way that we've created a way to sequentially order tasks in timeline view, and then even through other views by sorting via the task order that we specified. Now that I've showed you that date feature and the timeline view, let's modify the database template so that all the dates are pre-entered today, so it automatically shows up within the timeline view that we've configured earlier. This is just a part to highlight the tediousness of having to manually change that. But again, once you get this set up and you name everything and maybe add a few other characteristics, right? If you know a certain person works on a certain step, you can do that. If you want to specify something numerically, you could do that. I think this is a very great and easy automation that is underutilized simply because people aren't aware of how we can do some of these things. So now when we click on new project, add those sequential tasks, right? We've created 5 pages. We see that the tasks are automatically sorted in order. Now if we go to the timeline view, we have all tasks appear with today's date like we've specified. Assuming that your deadlines aren't several months out, what you can do now is easily drag the relevant task to the relevant date. And now it's much easier to just click and drag and decide your deadlines through this visual format. And now your team has a very easy way to understand what is blocking what. You can also create other dependencies through these dots and say, okay, task 1 is also stopping task 4. Maybe there's another task 1 that is also blocking task 2. We just duplicate that real quick. And maybe task 2 is also preventing task 4 from happening. Task 4 has a lot going on, and this is kind of getting a little messy because I'm just randomly assigning things, but you can right click, clear the date, edit property, do all these things as well. This is a great way to visualize a lot of things going on at once and how certain things might intersect, prevent several things from happening, and you need everything finished before you start on the last step. So that's a really great way to do it. All right, well, I think the last thing you might want to think about doing is when you add a new task, for example, and maybe this is a task that is between task 4 and 5. So maybe we call it task 4.5. If we know that task 4.5 is happening between task 4 and 5, we can just maybe add in the task order 4.5. So now, because the sort is based on that number that we specified, and because 4.5 is between 4 and 5, the tasks we specified, now it'll automatically fit in the ordering of the tasks, and we can sort of add this between any tasks we want based on that sort ordering numerical entry that we entered. So if I wanted to make this between step 2 and 3, I would just write in any number between 2 and 3 because those are the task orders that we specified. If I did 2.3, now it'll jump between task 2 and 3. It's just a simple, quick way to modify ordering if you want to do that quickly within this view or within any view with this sort by task order ascending. But anyways, I think that was a whole ramble of things to create basic sequential tasks with a button. And thanks for watching if you made it this far.